So it's been a few days now since the latest Google Helpful Core update has ended. And today's video, I'm going to tell you the 7 things I've learned about the HCU update and what you can take from it. So let's get into this. So it's quite easy when everything is going well in the blogging world or the online space that you can get a little bit complacent. You can sit back and enjoy your rewards from all your hard work and actually take your foot off the gas. And I actually am guilty of that. Last year, my websites and my online business was doing tremendously well. In fact, I had some months where I earned over $20,000. And I am guilty of taking my foot off the gas. When things are going well, you want to sit back, you start spending a little bit more money, you start having more free time, which is possibly the reason you got into the online space, but it is sometimes not the right thing to do. Sometimes when things are going well, you really need to push. That is the time to sometimes step on the gas rather than take your foot off the pedal and really maximize your earnings while you can. Because as we've seen with a helpful content update, things can change in this industry very, very fast. And you do need to maximize on at the time when things are going good to bank that cash and really push and make some extra earnings while the going's good. And number 2, bank the cash. So thankfully for me, when everything was going well last year, I did not spend too much money on things like new cars or a yacht or a private jet. Okay, I didn't make that much. But yeah, what I'm saying is don't spend the money when you get it. Save it in case, like I say, things change and you need to fall back on that funding. So this year, my business has definitely slowed down. My websites got hit with various Google Core updates, and that's both human written content websites and AI websites. I've tested both, and both have been hit. I've also lost affiliate programs that were very lucrative for me. But I have other irons in the fire, so to speak, and I'm still making an income, but definitely not as much as I did in 2022. Luckily, I was quite savvy with my money. I put my money away because I wanted to use that money for other online ventures and invest in digital assets. And I'm certainly glad I did, because it's been a rocky roller coaster in 2023, and I've definitely needed those funds to fall back on so that I can use those funds to sit out the tidal wave of all the changes that's happening in our industry and see where I want to go in the future. So yeah, bank the cash when you get the chance. And number 3, get a fresh pair of eyes. So what I mean by that is get somebody else to take a look at your website or your business project. Often we get too blinded by our own websites and our own thoughts and processes that we often miss things. And it only takes somebody to look at your website or your project for just a few minutes for them to spot something you might have missed. It's very daunting to ask somebody to do that because you know they're going to pick flaws and you're worried they're going to judge you. But if you're in business, you need to be able to take that feedback, whether it be good, positive feedback, or whether it's criticism. Most people offer that feedback in goodwill. They are wanting you to succeed. They want you to not miss anything. And if they spot any errors, they will tell you. But you need to take that first step and say, hey, will you take a look at my website? Something's not just right. It's not growing as fast as I wanted, and I'm not sure what I've missed. Getting somebody to look at your website who's maybe experienced in this industry, or they may be relatively new, but they might look at it in the eyes of a reader and they will say, that doesn't really flow right, or that doesn't sit well with me. And that fresh pair of eyes can sometimes spot them glowing mistakes that you've made that maybe you haven't seen. You know the old saying, can't see the woods for the trees? Sometimes that's true. And number 4, Google doesn't hate you. Now, if you've been hitting the recent update, it's quite easy to say, Google doesn't like my site, Google's maybe penalizing me for something, or it's dragging my site down. That might actually not be true. What it might be doing is rewarding other content over yours. So if you can imagine a top 10, let's say the charts, let's go for the music charts, good old-fashioned top 10 music chart, and your song's right there at number 1, and you're sitting pretty, you're getting all the royalties from your music sales, and then suddenly another song comes out that everybody likes, and suddenly they start buying that song, and that goes up to number 1 and it knocks you down to number 2. And as more songs and more music records come out, you start moving down that chart. It is not that the music industry doesn't like your record, it's just that it is now promoting other songs over yours. And it's the same with the SERP index. If you look at the top 100 places, you obviously want to try and keep that number 1 spot, but sometimes when there's an update, Google will reward other content for whatever reason, right or wrong. It may just reward them above you, which means you get pushed down the SERPs. It doesn't mean Google's attacked your site, it just means it has not favored you in that update and it's rewarding other content. And then obviously you can look into why that is, but it's not necessarily a penalty or you're being penalized or Google hates you, it's just that it's liking somebody else a little bit more. And number 5, evolution. If you are in the online industry or you're building niche websites, things will change. I've been in the industry now for 5 years and I've seen some really big changes in the 5 years. And 5 years is just a drop in the ocean. Some people that I know have been in this industry 20, even 25 years, right? When search engines really first started becoming of age. And they've seen more changes than me, but I've seen a fair few changes in the last 5 years and it will happen. Now you can't take that personally. Nothing stays still in any type of business, and you have to understand that if things change, you might also need to pivot slightly and change your process. Now, whether that be for monetization, whether that might be starting a new business, or whether it's just content on your website, you may need to look at what has changed and see if you can evolve and change with it. If you don't, you might get left behind. And number 6, impulse reactions. Now, many of us, I feel, are probably guilty of this. I know I am. Every time there's a Google Core update, within a day or two of it rolling out, I see some changes on my website and then I start listening to all the advice that's out there, why you've been hit, why things are changing. Then suddenly you start impulse reacting and changing everything under the sun. Sometimes even before the rollout is even finished. At that point, it's too early to look at the data and understand what's happened and why possibly you've been hit, or let's look at it positively, why you got rewarded. And if you can figure those things out after the event, then fantastic. You might be able to implement that across all your websites or particularly really focus on it on that one site that you're working on. But impulse reacting in our industry is an absolute killer. It's a time suck, it pulls you in the wrong direction, it gets your negative mindset rolling, and sometimes you're reacting on information you don't even know is true or correct. It's often people's guesses before they have analysed the data. So my advice is sit things out, don't impulse react, and try and be patient and figure it out, and then you'll know that the changes you are making will be a positive one after the event. And number 7, this isn't the end. Many people look at the core updates that happen and think, thank goodness that has ended. But if you look at the history of Google updates, they roll them out quite frequently and they often attack different areas of our business. So don't think this is the last one. Don't think, phew, I've escaped it. You might not have. All your rewards might still be due to come. The next update might really do you well and you could see some rewards. But don't think this is the end. Please get used to updates. They will happen, especially now AI's around. Google needs to move with the times. Google needs to shift to combat all the spam that's out there, but it will not end. This is only the beginning and there will be more and more updates. So don't be surprised and don't think the end of the helpful content update is the be all and end all. There will be more to come. So that's the 7 things I've learned about the most recent helpful content update by Google. Leave me a comment, what have you learned? Have you learned anything different to the 7 things that I've mentioned? And I'd love you to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and then you won't miss out on any future videos. But for now, thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.